All my VIPs. Okay, because I can't even right now. So I'm just going to be talking about Little Nightmares 2. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the fact is that this person is bringing up a really good theory that they think the Thin Man used to be a police investigator, and aka a PI. He keeps saying PI, but it's police investigator. I'm probably going to say PI, but it's police investigator. Anyways, he brings up that the Thin Man was a PI, and the reason why he is taking the kids in Little Nightmares 2 is because it was literally his job when the Pale City, the setting for Little Nightmares 2, when the Pale City was normal, he was a police investigator looking for missing children. And the reason why he takes Mono or Six whenever he catches up to them is because he's taking them back to his office, aka the signal tower, because that used to be his job when everything was normal. I love how he explained it. He explained it a bit better. Not a bit better, a lot better. But basically, let me just give you a background. Pell City is the setting for Little Nightmares 2, and it was warped by this big black tower with an eye on it, right? It warps time, space, and everything else, right? The buildings, they're very tall. They used to be standing straight. They're curved slightly. The people, their face are warped. Some of their skin meat is falling off to where they need to wear like fake mask in order to hide the fact that their face is fucked up. So when I tell you that the Pale City used to be normal and that people used to have normal jobs and now it's warped, you see teachers, you see doctors, you see regular civilians, but they're all glued to a television and they're all like monster, like, you know what I mean? So this person was theorizing that the Thin Man looks like he used to be a police investigator due to the fact that there's so many like places in the Pale City that are now warped, but they used to look normal. Like there's a mail place, you know what I mean? There is there's a diner. I saw a diner. There's a barber shop there, I think. Like legit. There in the concept art of it, there was even like a police department or a police office like talking with. So yeah, in the concept art it shows that they were going to show even more settings for the Pale City to where there was normal stuff. It was all normal, it's just warped now. So it makes you think like, okay, so there are all these roles and whatnot. There was teachers, there was doctors, there was mailmen. What happened for this city to come up like this? And of course, it's the signal tower. That's the obvious answer. But it looks like it took a while. That's what this person's getting at. It took a while for everything to become warped, right? So how do they think that, oh, Thin Man is or was a police investigator? Because he's mono. Like, he's mono. How was he was a police investigator if he was mono? Well, this person brought up that it's a time loop, right? There has to be a beginning. You have to realize that with a time loop or with some theories about it, there has to be a beginning. You may not know when there's an end, but you have to remember there was a beginning before all of this. Like, what was the start? Was it just that Mono was in the woods and then, oh, he was slowly going to the signal tower just to encounter another Thin Man? How was there a Thin Man from the start if there has to be a start to the time loop? You know what I mean? It's kind of like there has to be a time when there was no Thin Man, there was only Mono, and then Mono becomes Thin Man, and then the loop begins with it going like that. So it just makes you think like, okay, did Mono just grow up to become a regular civilian? Well, not a regular civilian, and then he grew up to become a police investigator, and that was before the signal tower became corrupt. And then once everything started getting worse, he went from looking for children to taking any child he could find and then bringing it back to his office, only for his office to be the signal tower because he got corrupted by the signal tower. It's like it makes you question everything. It's like, okay, so like if there's a beginning and whatnot, and if Mono is forever the Thin Man, does that mean like in an original time Mono actually did grow up without the signal tower? He grew up to actually be a civilian part of that city, and then he got a job as a police investigator and where he's looking for missing children, and he would spend day in and day out in a chair, trying to help these grieving families and shit. And so as the city became worse, every child he finds, he takes them because the signal tower is basically corrupting him to take them. Kind of like how with the teacher. The teacher, whenever she would teach, she would be teaching kids who have no brains. And she would be overly aggressive. So she's doing her job, but and she would also eat any intruders too. So she's doing her job, but she's doing it in a very warped / twisted way. Same with the doctor. There's a doctor you see, he climbs the ceilings and whatnot. Yeah, he's taking care of the patients, but you can see that he is sawing off some of their limbs to, like, I guess, save their limbs or whatnot. He's trying to fix their situations by messing it up further. It's kind of like that. What if Thin Man is doing his job, but he's doing his job kind of in a backwards or twisted way? Like, oh, his job as a police investigator is to find missing kids. So when he finds the missing kids, he gets the missing kids. And instead of getting them, taking them back to his office and informing their families, he gets them and you never hear from them again. It's like, bitch, this is having me for a loop. Like, what? What? And there's so many details in Little Nightmares 2 to where it makes me feel like, how are you going to have a Little Nightmares 3 without Mono and Six? It's like, I kind of don't want I don't want a Little Nightmares 3 at this point, unless it's going to confirm and actually explain everything in these two things. But I know we're not going to get another prequel. We already got a prequel. Little Nightmares 2 is a prequel. So it's like, we're not going to get a prequel to a prequel. Only thing we have to get is a sequel to the original game. And it's like, how are we going to do that? Like, how are we going to continue? This is literally a time loop. Also, he brought up something very, very important, right? The link between Pell City and the mall. You notice how on the mall, there's a bunch of kids in cages? What if before the signal tower corrupted everything, there was already this weird, is human trafficking the word for it? Where is it the word for it? Basically, the mall is kind of like a money laundering. It's kind of like a thing where very rich individuals go up on there to eat any type of food, and they bring their kids there as well, but their kids are kind of like put off into like a daycare, because there was a daycare on the mall kind of like being watched and stuff like that, and it was actually normal at the beginning. It was kind of like a getaway and whatnot, and then the signal tower warped it and warped the owner's mind to where they would put, like, electrical fences so that the kids could never get out of those playgrounds, kind of like that. It even went to a point to where, as time went on and they were running out of fresh meat and fresh food, they started using the kids that were already in that daycare to feed the guests. It's kind of like the signal tower made everything warped, corrupt, and weird. So all those missing kids from Pell City, what if those missing kids from Pell City are actually just on the mall? Like, they were kidnapped from the mall, because it mentions that this man with a bag over his head, where he's rowing his boat out into sea, but that's because he's bringing kids to the mall. He's stealing kids and bringing them to the mall, kind of like as a protection, but he's not protecting them from the signal tower. He's just bringing them to their imminent deaths. So what if that's it? What if that's the tie-in? What if Thin Man's looking for these missing kids and he don't even realize that these missing kids are literally missing because they're on the mall? They're not even in the city anymore. They're out on sea, just surviving until they eventually are eaten by very rich, very hungry, gluttonous ass visitors. Like, dead ass. Like, what if it's that? It makes you think more and more. I don't know if you can hear my voice on this, because my voice is really deep with this. I would talk louder, but I don't feel like it. Also, my fro looks crazy. I'm about to take a shower. I would wash it today, but it's only been a few days. Rewashing it again, that'll be too much for my head. But yeah, plus I'll get sick. But I think that's it. I think that's it. I actually really like how this person theorized. His name is Terrico, Tericho. He did this 2 years ago. It was very good. I like this theory. This is the first time I've ever seen this theory, because I saw it as a recommendation 2 years ago, but I didn't want to watch it. I like watching things when I'm in the mood for them. If I just watch them out of nowhere, it will preoccupy my whole day. So yeah, but the idea that Thin Man was a police investigator is really cool. The idea that he is really tall, but low-key, he's probably really tall only to children. He's not actually that. He's tall, he's just not actually that tall. He's only that tall to kids. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, he's probably 6'3", dead ass, to this kid who's ankle, knee length. But anyways, that's gonna be the end for the video. And may peace be with you for an eternity.